right, let's go ahead and get started with this quick mini. We are going to start with 2 pieces of chipboard that measure 5 by 7 and 1 piece of chipboard that measures 1 by 7. Go ahead and pull out a paper to write on and a pen to write out these measurements, because I'm going to be mentioning them as we go along. So for those chipboard pieces, we also need 2 pieces of cardstock, and these measure 7 by 9. And we need 1 piece that measures 4 by 9, and then 1 that measures 5 by 6 and 7/8. And these are going to be for our cover. So let's go ahead and grab our scoreboard. We're going to place this in our scoreboard, and we're going to use our little pieces here, our spacers, and that's going to help us put these covers down really quickly. Now remember, you can speed up this video or slow it down just by using the little cog that's on the YouTube video itself when you tap the screen. Okay, so you can rewind it and replay it. This is a little mini that I thought I should put together just based on having a bunch of 3x4 cut aparts. So I thought this would be a good way to use those. Okay. Oh, and let's switch for the binding. We're going to go ahead and use that green one for the side so that we have a gap of 1.5 inches versus the 1 inch gap for these pink acrylic pieces. These little tools, these spacers, are available at Country Craft Creations. They're super helpful for putting together your mini albums, as you can see. Okay, that's that. Now we're going to go ahead and give this a very quick wrap. Okay, for this little album, you can follow the tutorial that I have for the lay flat binding method. There's a link in the description box below, and then you can put this together. I also went ahead and cut a strip of my decorative paper for the middle section here, because the next piece of cardstock that we're going to be moving along with is our hinge, and this measures 1.5 inches by 6 7/8 inches. Let me check my measurement. No, 6 3/4 inches. Looks like I have this a little long. Let me go ahead and trim this down. Six 3/4 inches. Okay, and with the 1.5 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score this at 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and that's it. This is a very quick little hinge, because this is intended to be a very quick little mini album. Now we're going to go ahead and place glue on that center section, just like that. Or if you use double-sided tape, you can do that also. And then we're going to go ahead and put this right in the center. So I'm going to open this up flat. It just helps me center it a little bit better. And top to bottom, left to right. Just trying to make this eyeball straight as best I can. Okay. And then burnish that down really well. And let's go ahead and bend over that first flap, and then bend over that back flap, And make sure that you burnish really, really well so that those can move real freely. Okay. All right. Now we can set this to the side, and let's move on with our two pockets. These are the pockets for the front and back cover, and they measure 6 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall. And with the 6 inches at the top, we're going to go ahead and score it at 1/2 inch and 5.5 inches. Rotate that a 1/4 turn, and let's go ahead and score again at 1/2 inch. And that we're going to do a second time. So 1/2 inch, 5.5 inches, rotate it, and score it at 1/2 inch again. And this is going to be our pocket. So let's grab our scissors, and we're going to, since these are the same, I'm going to put them together, save a little bit of time. Now we're going to cut out this bottom square here and here that was created from those score marks. All right, and that's going to be our pocket, because we're going to go ahead and bend over. It's going to be the side flaps, and then bend under the bottom. And we can give that a quick burnish. And you can see that this is going to go right here on our page. And we want to be a little closer to the outside edge than the middle. We want that middle to make sure that it can bend freely. Alright, so let's give the second one a quick burnish. And similarly, we're going to glue that right back here. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to place glue on the side flaps and then on the bottom. And like I said, we're going to line that up right down here. Okay. And you can burnish that down. Just like so. Let's do the back pocket. This is a cute little beach town collection that Carta came out with. So that's what I'm playing with, the vibrant colors here. Just getting started with this collection, but really fun and happy. Okay, now we have our front and back pockets on. So next we're going to move along with the pages. Now there's going to be 4 pages, and so you should have 4 pieces that measure 4 1/4 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches tall. And we aren't going to do any scoring of that, okay? So just set it aside. Then you're going to have 4 pieces that measure 4 1/4 inches wide by 7 3/4 inches tall. And we're going to go ahead and rotate that. Let me put my glue stopper in. Okay, we're going to go ahead and rotate that so the 7 3/4 inches is at the top of our scoreboard, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 7 1/4 inches. And we're going to do that to all 4 of these. So all 4 are going to be the same size. Okay, that was the second one. This is the third one. 1/2 inch and 7 1/4 inches. 1/2 inch and 7 1/4 inches. All right. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and burnish those 2 score lines back. Okay. And then we're going to grab one of the pieces that measures 6 3/4 by 4 1/4, and we're going to do a little dry fit here. Okay, so let's make sure that we put this together and make sure that we don't have any overhang here. I just have a little tiny bit, so I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. I want to make sure ever so slightly too much. Now that's going to fit a lot better. Yes. Okay, so we have 4 of those, and we're going to go ahead and place glue on those flaps. Move this over here. So we're creating our pocket page. Alright, let me go ahead and place glue here. Now we have our first little page. Now, some of you might ask, why do we have 4 of these if we only have 2 hinges? I'm going to show you, but let's first finish doing all of this folding and burnishing for all 4 of these, okay? That's 3. And then this is the 4th one. Little dry fit, that's good. One. Get a 3rd one in there. And last but not least, 4th page. All right, so let's group these 2 and 2. And then you should have 2 pieces that measure 1 inch by just shy of 6 3/4 inches. So I had these at 6 3/4 inches. I'm just going to trim off just a hair, maybe a 1/16 of an inch there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put these in my scoreboard. And I want to score these at 1/2 inch. Okay, both of them. And let's go ahead and burnish these. Now let's do a little dry fit. What we're going to do is we're going to stick one side into one, and then the other side is going to go into the other page. Then we have 2 pages that are going to be connected just like that. Okay, fits pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and put glue right there. Just so that that hinge is attached on one side, okay? And then do not put glue on the other side because we need to also stick it onto our hinge page, okay? So let's do that first. I'm going to start with the back hinge, and I'm going to place glue on both sides of this. Right at the top. Keep the glue towards the top, okay? Open this up, and I'm going to go ahead and glue this on. Slide it in there. And what do you know? I didn't do a dry fit of this, so I need to cut these at a little bit of an angle. Quickly, Nicole. Yeah, okay. So don't slide it all the way down to the score line. We need to make sure that you're about, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch off of that score line is probably good. Maybe 1/8 of an inch if you want. Okay. That means we need to make sure that this is straight. Turn this page and just make sure that you have glued it on straight. Looking now at the bottom. Okay, now it's only going to have glue on one side, so we need to open this up and just put a small bit of glue here. Okay, and then burnish that. Then you're going to put glue here and burnish that. Okay, so now you have a double pocket page that is on one single hinge. Okay, just like that. And we're going to do exactly the same thing over here. So let's do the dry fit. I'm going to trim. I'm just trimming this a little bit at an angle. You can see that. Okay. Let's do a little dry fit. Just like that. So I think this one, what I'll do is place glue on the back of the hinge and place the first page on. I think this might work a little bit better. Okay, let's wiggle it around. Don't place it all the way to the bottom. Let's make sure it's straight here with the other page. And we can burnish this. Remember, there's only glue on one side right now. Okay, then we need to take our little 1-inch hinge and we're going to place glue on both sides. I should say front and back of one of the sides. How was that? Then we will slide this in. All the way in. And burnish that down. Okay, we have our first one on. It's just a hidden hinge is all. And now we're going to go ahead and place glue on both sides of this one. Okay. And there we go. All the way down to the bottom. Just like that. Alright, nicely done. Okay, now we have this double piece. So we have 4 pages, but we only have 2 hinges. Okay, we have a pocket in the front and a pocket in the back. And now we're going to go ahead and we have cuts for 8 flaps. And these measure 3 3/4 inches wide by 4 1/4 inches tall. And all of 8 of these we're going to go ahead and score the same. So with the 3 3/4 inches at the top of your scoreboard, we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Okay, we're going to do that for all 8 of them. And this is going to be for our 3x4 cut aparts on the front of each one of these. So score it at 1/2 inch. Score it at 1/2 inch. Alright, all 8 of those are scored. Now, while I have my scoreboard out, you should have 2 pieces. These are for pockets that measure 5 1/4 inches by 3 inches. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and score that with the 5 1/4 inches at the top of our scoreboard at 1/2 inch and 4 3/4 inches. Give it a quarter turn and go ahead and score again at 1/2 inch, and do exactly the same thing with the second piece. So 1/2 inch, 4 3/4, rotate, and then 1/2 inch. Okay, and these are our pockets. I'm going to go ahead and cut those corner squares out. Like that. And then lastly, you should have 4 pieces that measure 9 inches by 6 1/4 inches. And with the 9 inches at the top of your scoreboard, we're going to go ahead and score that in half, so at 4 1/2 inches. Okay. And this is going to be our little booklet. It's going to go right in side of our pocket pages, just right in here, okay? So let's go ahead and do all of those. So again, score it at 4 1/2, 4 1/2. Did I do these? Did I do these right, Nicole? 4 1/2. No, I think I cut these too long. Too long. That's okay. We can trim them. Instead of 9 inches, because it's going to stick out too far beyond my book. Yeah, it was supposed to be 8 1/2. So I'm going to take, because I already scored these, I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of both sides. So 1/4 inch on this side, 1/4 inch on this side. That will put me right at 8 1/2 inches. This one. So I will fix that measurement in the measuring list when I post it. Alright. Let's put this up. And now let's check. Do the dry fit here, because this is going to get shoved right in there. Much better. It's not going to stick out, right? That's like I intended. Okay. Alright, let's do some burnishing here. Next. Okay, those booklets are done. Let's do the pockets. Side flap. Side flap bottom. Side flap. Side flap. And bottom. Now, make sure you flip over to, so the first hinge, the back side of the first hinge, and this is going to get placed right down here. Okay, so let's open our glue. Place glue on the side flaps and then on the bottom. And you should align with the outside corner and the bottom, and it should be a very snug fit for your page. Okay. Now flip over to the back side of your second hinge, and we're going to place this one here. So glue on those side flaps. And then at the bottom. Okay. Now we have two. We're going to take two of our flaps, the ones that were 3 3/4 inches by 4 1/4 inches, and we're going to burnish those. And I'm going to align this with the top left, and then I'm going to open it up after I glue that down, and I'm going to place this one right here. Now, for closure on this, the booklet will slide in like so. Okay? And it should be able to hold those two flaps down for each of the pages. So that's what we're going to do for each one of these pages. So let's go ahead and make sure that this is burnished really well. And I don't lose my pin for my glue bottle. Alright, starting with the top left. Burnish that down. And then I'm going to align with the bottom of the page and with just to the right of that score line so that these can lay flat still when they're closed. You don't want it too tight up against here or you won't be able to close it. Okay. Now if you want to use magnets, you can use magnets to hold this closed. That would be a good idea, Nicole. So let me grab a couple of my magnets. Goodness. I'm going to place this right on the back side of that top one, okay, so that it holds this one shut. And now, my second magnet, I'm going to place my little strip of tape backwards and then I can press this down to make sure that tape is adhered. Alright, and that will hold that closed. Okay, then this booklet can go right into the page, the pocket page. And if you want to add another magnet there, then that will hold that real tidy. Okay. All right, let's move on to the second page, the inside page. Still the same hinge. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and place this on the outside this time. Okay, so that I have alternating thicknesses. So at the bottom, I'm going to start, open it up, glue the next one right at the top, flush with the top, but not over your score line. Right at it, but not over it. Okay. Open that up. Push those again. And here we can place our booklet right in there just like so. Okay. And we have our whole section right like that, all done. We're going to do exactly the same thing here on the second hinge. So let's go ahead and burnish all of these. And we are nearly done with this whole album. Alright, we're going to start at the top here. Next one. Flush with the bottom. Put it right next to that score line. Okay, booklet. I'll come back and put the magnet, but let's get the rest of these on. Bottom. Corner. Give that another burnish down. Okay. And just like that, your little mini album is complete. Isn't that awesome? Alright, I'm going to finish decorating mine, and I hope to hear from you in the comments below. Did you enjoy this little album? How did yours turn out? What paper collection did you use? And tag me in your social media post. I'm on Facebook at MadeFromScrap. I'm on obviously the YouTube channel at MadeFromScrap, and I'm also on Instagram _MadeFromScrap. And again, you can find all of these wonderful products to make this project, including the cardstock, chipboard, the mirror cardstock, the paper collection. This is Beach Town by Carta. all at countrycraftcreations.com. I do have affiliate links that I'll be posting in the description box below. It doesn't cost you anything more, but it does give me a little kickback to help me bring you more videos on my channel. All right, everyone, I hope you had fun. Until next time, happy crafting, you all. Goodbye.